another beautiful morning here. Today I'm running with Gary. This is the first time I run with Gary. I just met him a couple of minutes ago, but I'm really looking forward to talking to Gary. Good morning, Gary. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Omar.
Awesome.
This is a great opportunity.
Thank you. Gary, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. So I'm 59 years old. I started running about maybe 2009, 2010, around there.
Okay. Almost like 15 years now.
Yeah. So what happened was I was kind of not really realizing it, going through a bit of a life change, and type of person with some depression and things like that, and somebody, my nephew, introduced me to running.
Okay.
And he said, give it a try. So I went out with him. We went really slow, 1 minute run, 2 minute walk.
Okay.
I fell in love with it. All of a sudden, I started going all the time.
Okay.
And ran my first 10K race.
All right.
And then I started thinking, well, I just ran a 10K race. I could spend a bit more money, run a half marathon.
Yes.
So,
do you remember your time in your first 10K?
First 10K, I think it was about 58 minutes.
Okay.
I was never a very fast runner, but
that's okay.
And so from there, ran the first half marathon. Then I started thinking, well, if I spend a little bit more money, I could run a full marathon. So I started, did that, trained, and ran 4 full marathons and Chicago Marathon.
Nice.
And I was really starting to discover that the depression was getting less and less.
Really? You were feeling that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't lasting as long, and just different things like that. So, in, what year was it? 2014, I had set myself up to run 2 full marathons, the Ottawa and Chicago Marathon.
Nice. Okay.
So, started training for that, but during that time, something was happening with me.
Okay.
My doctor was asking me in my physicals what's going on, because started noticing some tremors, and I said, well, I told you I always had this little tremor in my hand,
Okay.
and then all of a sudden it was like a light switch that kind of flicked on.
Yep.
Tremors went really from a small part of my hand right up my arm. My balance was getting very poor.
Okay.
Dropping things all the time, and so I started thinking, well, maybe it's my training and things like that.
Okay.
So I went back to the doctor, said, I just need to talk to you about maybe supplements and vitamins. And
Yeah, you thought you were overtraining.
yeah. So she was like, well, never mind that. Look at your arm. Like, you can't sit still. And she goes, I want to send you to a neurologist. And it took about 3 months before I got into that. And then I seen the neurologist. He had me put me through quite a thorough exam, I guess. And he said, well, I'm pretty sure you've got Parkinson's disease.
Oh.
But I want to see you again in 3 months. Just
Okay.
so I'd get a better idea.
Yeah.
I was 49 then.
Okay.
And that was 10 years ago. So I ran the Chicago Marathon.
Did you still run the Chicago Marathon?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So after that, 2 weeks later, go back to see him, and he's like, there's no question you definitely have Parkinson's. So we started on medication.
Isn't there a test that clearly says whether you have it or not?
No, they do have. At that time, they weren't relying on DAT scan, I think it's called.
Okay.
And so there's no formal blood test or anything that's going to declare you definitely have it.
Okay.
It's all about their professional examination, and getting to know who the person is.
Yep.
So anyway, we started on the medication, and all of a sudden the medication was climbing higher and higher. I had so many tremors. We couldn't get the tremors under control.
Oh, okay.
So my neurologist at that time said, well, there's a procedure.
Okay.
I'm going to refer you to this, and it's called deep brain stimulation.
Okay.
So what they do is they will make 2 holes into my head, put these electric leads into your brain,
Okay.
and
Sounds scary.
wires run down. They're in your chest here, hooked up to a little computer battery.
Okay.
And it'll take away the tremors and everything. So now he said, you're not ready for this yet. But if I start the referral in 5 years, you'll be already in there.
Okay.
So we went through that. I'm going down there once a year for about 3-4 years. And we get to a point now. In the meantime, I'm researching this like anything. And I find out in the US and in Europe, they tend to do this fairly quickly.
Okay.
With people who are younger, just to keep them off or down lower on the medication.
I see.
So I was getting a little frustrated with the whole process. I brought all this information in and said it all to them.
Okay.
And they said, well, I think you're ready for this. So then we had to go through the process of testing. So I had to come off all my medication, do a 5-hour cognitive test, see a psychiatrist. Anyway,
Yep.
turned out I was a good candidate, and we had the procedure done February 14th, 2019.
Oh, so that's almost 5 years ago.
Yep. Valentine's Day, I was
Oh yes.
joke around with my wife. I'll do anything to get out of Valentine's Day. So
Yeah. That was that on that day.
So
the operation.
yeah. And part of this operation, you have to be awake through the whole thing. So
Why?
well,
You want to walk a bit?
well, we had a great situation that popped up. So what happened was they pulled the scalp back, they drilled through the skull, and when the drill goes through the skull, it automatically stops soon as before it hits the brain.
Okay.
They put the lead in. Once they're inside the brain, you don't feel any pain or anything.
But you were on anesthesia, right?
Just a slight little, just to ease my stress level,
Yeah, of
kind of
course.
relax me a bit, which wasn't very helpful, but
Yeah.
so anyway, the lead they put into my left side of the brain turned it on, and they could tell by the look on my face something was wrong. But I couldn't talk. And the surgeon kept saying, well, what's going on? Why are you, what are you feeling?
Okay.
And he was like, are you feeling dread? And I couldn't answer because all I wanted to do was just cry. And
Wow.
what ended up happening was on the MRI that they're watching to put the electrode into your brain, they discovered they were 2 millimeters out. And
Oh my God.
so that 2 millimeters stimulated all these emotions, and
Really?
it's incredible how powerful that brain is. And so they replaced that, put it in the right spot, and went ahead and were able to do both sides of the brain.
Yep.
So that's why you have to be awake. Now, they are doing this where people, their anxiety might be way too high, so they will be put out, but you're taking that chance and you might have to go back in. If the leads aren't in the right place, there could be problems.
Yep.
Harder for programming. So, anyway, get out of the hospital, and about 8 weeks later, I can't remember exactly, it was 8, 10 weeks, then we started programming, and I struggled with the programming. I just felt like somebody was choking me or whatever when they turned it up. And so basically it took a couple of years, but I didn't give up. I was determined to make this work for me. I knew it would take a while. So anyway, we kept plugging away. The pandemic came along and couldn't go down to the hospital for a while, so we're back up again on the medication, and then about 3 years ago I went down, and the guy who originally said I was good to have this operation, he finally seen me, and he rearranged all the settings.
Oh.
So he totally did a great job. It was amazing. I walked out of there like 15 feet off the ground, you know.
Yes,
I was so
yes.
happy, and so it just kept going from there. Everything was great. So then after that, there was a program. There wasn't any programs going on for people with Parkinson's, and I joined the Rocksteady boxing team that came to Toronto, which was pretty good.
Okay.
But then that kind of fell apart, and in Mississauga here, there was a program starting up. This foundation called themselves Passion for Parkinson's.
Okay.
And what they wanted to do was to supply people with Parkinson's disease all these free activities. So it started off very slowly with outdoor walking and a little bit of hiking, I guess.
That's the one you sent me the link to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And from there, it's gone into this thing. I think we have about 12, 14 different programs, boxing classes,
Interesting.
Tai Chi, aquafit, spin classes, indoor golf simulators. It's incredible dance programs. So now we've got into the a bowling program. So I became really involved with this group, and I wanted to do more for them. So I started. I was running the Chile half marathon, and I said, I'm running this half marathon in Burlington, and I would like to try and raise some money. So I raised about $2,000.
Wow.
And then we got talking more, and I said I wanted to, can't we start up a support group program? So we got a support group going, one in Mississauga, one in Burlington.
Okay.
I run both of those. They made me an ambassador, and you know, the rest is kind of history where everything with the not working anymore. This is giving me a whole new purpose in life. It's making me feel good about myself. And your mental health is it's so important to have, right? So anyway, we so we're still doing all this stuff. We got lots of programs going on, and that's why I wanted to. I love to try and get the message out. Doesn't matter who you are, what you're going through.
Oh, Gary, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Like I was not aware of the full history. That is incredible. The fact that you kept running and pushing all this time, and not just given up and feel sorry for yourself.
And it's like this deep brain stimulation I've done. It isn't a cure. It's just a bigger band-aid from all the pills. But you know, there are times where I have kind of given up, but then I realize that's when Parkinson's comes back to me.
Oh.
And I always look at this as a race. So I'm running a race. I can look behind me and see Parkinson's is trailing back there. And then it starts catching up. That's when I look, okay, it's time to get in for another appointment and adjustment, so I can gain that lead again.
That's an amazing way to think about it. You've kind of linked running with the that's amazing.
You use all these little things to just try and tools to manage and get through everything. But so yeah, I just wanted to, you know, when I heard about what you're doing here, I felt I got a story to tell. I wanted people to realize it doesn't matter what they have, what they're going through, work or whatever.
Absolutely.
Midlife crisis, doesn't matter. You just, running is a good form of free exercise.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You know,
I mean, I was really, so excited and honestly honored when Fahmi told me that you want to do this, because this is exactly the point I was really happy that people are getting what the point of this is.
Yeah.
I remember when I first started, some people told me like, if you're gonna interview people talking about running, it's gonna get boring.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I thought no, because every person is different.
Everybody's
we have
got
different
their own story and their own reasons.
And I never get with someone and talk about how fast you are, or
Right.
how is your marathon pace, and that's not the point. I'm not saying these things are not important.
Yeah.
If somebody's pursuing running goals, good. But I kind of find myself more in the community of people that run for health, for mental health, for feeling better about themselves.
And that's what it's all about for me now. Is it's not about that goal of trying to do a personal best. Although I always say every race I ever run now, it's my personal best because it's my slowest time, my slowest one from last time.
Yes, yes. So Gary, you've told us now this and the story, and it's incredible. Like it's really amazing. But I want to get some more details from you now.
Sure.
Like you are a person that does still long distance running, and half a marathon is a long distance.
Yeah.
Even 10K is a long distance for most people. You run on trails. Today we're running. There's some, some ice and snow and stuff. Do you not find this challenging? Is my question.
Well,
why do you just not say, okay, I'll just run on a treadmill and be safe?
Yeah, I don't like treadmills. They're boring.
Yes, they are.
It's just something about being outside, running, feeling the wind in your face, and hills. I just don't think you get that on a treadmill.
No.
I used to run a lot of trail running, and I was always just loved it, especially in the summertime. You're sheltered from the wind, and
yes.
So you can, and it's just amazing being in the nature and everything. So, but I don't run as many trails. It's more of a flat trail if it is.
Okay, yeah, not technical
Just
trails.
because of my balance is getting a bit poor. I've been having a few falls and stuff. Cycling getting to be a problem. I started following, and mostly that is just my own. With the Parkinson's, it's not just tremors, slowness, and rigidity. There's other non-motor factors that come into play here, and so one of them is cognitive function. I was diagnosed also with mild cognitive impairment because of the Parkinson's. So with slow processing speed, executive function. So with the cycling, I bought an e-bike 2 years ago. I was riding everywhere.
Okay.
Put like 5,000-6,000 K on it every year, and in the end of the season, I was just losing my concentration more. I wasn't focusing as much as I should be. Falling off the bike, getting into small little things. So with Parkinson's, when you get into tight areas, it tends to trip you up. You lose your balance. You get stuck to the floor almost.
What about stationary bikes? Sorry, guys.
Stationary bikes, yeah. Well, when with the passion for Parkinson's, we have that stationary bike. Okay. So I do classes there, and that's always a good sweat in that. But it's nothing like being outdoors. That's all. Like
absolutely.
Being out here with the elements and everything. I just think it's so important, and helps with your mental attitude and breathing, your sleeping at night, everything about it. Windy blowing around here.
So, can I ask you, is there anything special that you try and do to help you before or after the run? Like, do you feel that, stretching or warming up?
I do have to stretch at the end of my runs. I've probably never been the best at stretching, and but the one thing with running is that you get all these endorphin things exploding in your brain.
Yes.
And it's like,
yes,
after my run or after a really long bike ride, all of a sudden I find my alarm is going off for another pill, but I'm not taking it because I'm just still so really, I almost call it again, just so high that you don't and I have no idea how all that stuff works with endorphins and dopamine. And that's what causes the Parkinson's. Dopamine's dying out in your brain.
Oh, is it?
And so they say people that by the time they're usually diagnosed, they've already lost 60% of the dopamine in your brain.
Oh, wow.
And that's where the levodopa comes into play. It rebuilds this artificial dopamine, and controls all the movements and helps you.
What is the reason for Parkinson's? Is it genetic? Is it like?
Honestly, I mean, my grandmother had Parkinson's.
Okay.
I've got a cousin who has Parkinson's.
Oh, so maybe
this is all from the same side of the family.
Yeah.
But head trauma. I've had a few concussions.
Oh.
I worked in an industry for 20 years with chemicals and the smell of burning plastic, and so that was very toxic.
Okay.
When I was a teenager, I picked tobacco when I was 15, 16 years old, pesticides. So most people with Parkinson's might have come across one of those things. I touched them all.
Yeah.
You know. But
interesting. How often do you run, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm trying to run 3 to 4 times a week now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Typically, I run about 5 to Sundays. I might do 8 to 10K. But usually during the week, I'll do 5K.
Gary, I want to ask you the famous question that I ask everyone, okay? Because it's a question I ask myself often. Why do you run?
That answer changes all the time. But overall, I would have to say I run because I can. And that's what happens. That's what it comes down to.
Yes.
I can do it. And I love doing it. Times you don't love doing it, but you can be middle of the summer standing on a dock at the lake. You're gonna jump into the water, and all you think about is how cold that water is. But once you jump in, it's warm.
Yes.
You come up and you might feel a bit of a chill. That's how running is. You start off, it might be cold, too hot, but you can get some huge benefits out of it.
Yes.
So I think that's why
you run. That's an excellent answer.
I can.
Awesome. And what are your hopes and dreams for running in the next couple of years? Is there any goal, or just gonna maintain running?
You know what? I have no goal. I just go. I put 95% into today, say 5% tomorrow.
Yep.
And I go day by day. If this all ends next week, then so be it.
That's exactly.
And that's what I do.
Awesome.
So.
Awesome. All right. Well, Gary, thank you so much.
No problem.
This has been incredible. I mean, it's eye-opening. I knew a bit about Parkinson's, but listening to you and your journey is so inspiring. So
I'm so grateful.
no, thank you so much.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. I really
Okay.
appreciate it.